Hello everyone, I hope your week is going well. Welcome to the second on-demand class for Practical Translation 1. Last week we went through Publisher and some of the basic things that you can do on Publisher. But today I'd like to introduce to you the template that we're going to use for the Hokusei Times layout. So for you won't be building your article from scratch. In other words, you won't be building your article from a blank page. You'll be using an existing template and you'll be putting your information into that template. The reason why we do this is so that the Hokusei Times has a consistent look or a consistent layout throughout the paper. So that's what we're going to be looking at today is the Hokusei Times template. It's a Microsoft Publisher template. Now before we start, I would like to just kind of go through and maybe remind you what makes a good newspaper article. Right, so this is a translation class, but you'll be translating the primary material, so interview content or research that you did in Japanese, you'll translate that into English, and then you'll put it into a newspaper format. But the final format, the newspaper structure or the newspaper article layout will be different from the original material that you used to create the newspaper. So I want to just go over what makes a good English newspaper article in terms of structure. So really quickly, what makes a good newspaper? When we think about that, we have to think about the types of newspaper reports. And it's really important to understand that newsworthy topics will vary, or they'll be different, according to the newspaper's audience. Right? So national newspapers like Asahi Shimbun, Yomiuri Shimbun, those really big national papers, they tend to report on national issues like finance, war, politics, and that kind of thing. Things that are of interest nationally. Local newspapers, they tend to report on actions and events in the local area, and they tend to be more emotional or narrative like in the way that they tell the stories. Now, the Hokusei Times is, you could think of it as a local newspaper. It's certainly not a national newspaper. Right? The Hokusei Times, the audience is English-speaking international and domestic students, faculty, staff, sister universities, etc. Right? So this audience is interested in what is going on at Hokusei, what's going on in the wider community around Hokusei, what's going on in Sapporo, perhaps what's going on in Japan and how that affects us here at Hokusei. So this kind of gives us a hint as to what kinds of content or the way that we should be writing these reports. Now, you may have seen this before, but a newspaper report structure. The structure of a newspaper report is often compared to an inverted triangle. Now, in other classes, you probably have learned how to write an essay. Right? An essay, you give an introduction, then you have the body, and then you have a conclusion. Right? So you say what you're going to say, you say it, and then you say that again. That's the general structure of an essay. However, a newspaper report is different. Generally, the most important details come at the top of the article. Right at the beginning of the article, you give the most important details. So if somebody just reads the first maybe 20% of the newspaper article, they've already got about 80% of the information. Details and other relevant information is placed in the body of the text, and then the least important information is placed at the end of the report. Right, so this is quite different to an essay structure. A newspaper report structure is all about having the most important stuff that's going to grab people's attention at the top, then kind of supporting details in the middle, and then the stuff at the end is just extra information on the end. Now, newspaper reports have different parts to them. Of course, there's a headline and a byline. So this is the byline is a reporter's name and sometimes a picture. We'll just have a name in the Hokusei Times. The opening paragraph, which is often referred to as the lead. So this is an introduction of about 25 to 40 words in length. And this provides the most important and interesting news while answering who, what, where, when, and why, and sometimes how. And then after the lead, so after that main first paragraph, there are further short paragraphs of about 30 to 40 words, and each one has a main idea and a different fact. And try to include quotes, if you can, from people who have said things or quotes from other materials. And then details are given in order of importance. Right? Least important details should be put at the end of the article. And at the end, sometimes the facts and opinions are summarized. Right, so this is kind of the general structure. Lots of words on this slide, but let's have a look at an actual newspaper article and see how this looks. So here we have an article. The headline, bold font, underlines, sometimes color. The headline of a newspaper article needs to grab attention of the reader. So short, succinct, to the point, and something that really grabs people's attention. Once we get into week 11-ish, we will go through each of your headlines and we'll try to adjust them to make sure that they are the most interesting that they can be. The byline, sometimes people will include social media details and that kind of thing. In the Hokusei Times article, the byline, that is your name, the author, will come at the end. Right, so on this article, the byline has they've put that at the top, whereas in the Hokusei Times, your name will come at the end of the article. Then we have the opening paragraph or lead. Here you see the lead is in bold font, and it gives the who, so a martial arts instructor. Who, where, from Cam, wherever Cam is. I guess it's a settlement or a town. Who, so we've got who, where, so we've got who, where, what is offering a 6-week self-defense course, and why, following recent reports of assaults in the area. So we have who, where, what, and why here. So who, what, where, when, and why. When is not included in this one. But this is really the important thing of the lead. This first paragraph needs to really summarize in very few words what the article is about. And this should be in bold font. And then in the body, we have short paragraphs, right? Details, quotes, statements written in columns. And it's really important here that these paragraphs are short. Very often when I see first drafts from Hokusai Times reporters, I see just one huge paragraph. But it's really important that you split those paragraphs up into short, easy to read paragraphs. Then down the end here, we've got a bit of a summary of the report. Of course, we've got a caption here, so something that describes the photo. And photos are really important for adding interest in an article. So photo adds color and interest. Now you might be wondering, well, what do I do for my photos for my article in the Hokusai Times? It's really important that you take your own photo, particularly for those of you who are reporting about current events around here in Sapporo. Please take your own photo of something that is related to your topic. You can just use your smartphone, take a few photos that kind of illustrate your article in some way. If you are writing, if you're doing some research and and there's not really any photo that you can take, then you need to make sure that the photo that you use is okay to use. Okay, so we'll have a look at those as we go through. So language features in an English newspaper article. So newspaper articles combine the following language features to inform, entertain, and persuade. So we need clear and concise writing. Short sentences are very important. We want the content to be written in third person. So we shouldn't say, I wanted to research this because I thought that, for example, right? That's first person. We want to write in the third person. So there shouldn't be any references to you, the reporter. Should be factual and accurate. Make sure that whatever facts that you're quoting, make sure that they are accurate. It should include quotes, comments, opinions, statements, etc. from people or from other publications. Of course, it should avoid racist, discriminatory statements and slurs. So we want to make sure that people who are reading this article are not going to be overly offended. And it should be accurate and balanced, providing facts supporting both sides of the issue. So that's really important. It's important when we write a newspaper article about a particular issue that we think about the issue from multiple angles and write about it in that way. A quick mention about headlines. Now, headlines are really important for newspaper reports. Headlines convey information using the following: short phrases and incomplete sentences. So incomplete sentences, you don't need to have a completely complete sentence for your headlines. We just need to make them short and concise. And this can be quite tricky when you are writing in your second language. I know for me, writing in Japanese, Japanese newspaper headlines are they're easy to understand, but it's quite difficult for me to create a nice, short headline. So we will go through your headlines just to see if we can work together to make them more interesting. They often use figurative language, so language that evokes or creates imagination in people's heads. They often use stereotypes, and exaggeration, just to really grab attention. So that's just kind of a general overview of newspaper articles overall. Now I'd like to go and have a bit of a look at the Hokusei Times Microsoft Publisher layout. There will be a task at the end of this. I'll actually ask you to use the template and put some fake text into it just to have a bit of a practice using it. So for the Hokusei Times in the second semester, in the first semester, this is the first semester, isn't it? We'll be using Microsoft Publisher. We'll use a special template, and at the moment you are writing, or I hope you're writing your articles using Microsoft Word. Okay, so your first draft of your article should be done in Microsoft Word. I'll give feedback on that article, and then you'll make your changes, and then you'll copy and paste that into Publisher. Now the layout fonts are defined by the template we'll use. So we are going to use special fonts, which makes it a little bit complicated, but it makes the paper look a lot better. So there is one extra step of installing fonts. But Publisher what? What is Publisher? As I mentioned last week, Microsoft Publisher is an easy-to-use layout and design software. It's different to Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word doesn't have as much layout ability. Hokusei Gakuen University has Microsoft Publisher installed in all of the Jouhou Jishushitsu, right, all of the computer rooms. And we'll use an existing template for the Hokusei Times. So you don't have to create your own layout. You'll kind of edit and adjust the existing template layout, but you don't have to create it from nothing. So let's have a quick look at the template. I'll just quickly run through it, and then we'll actually open up Publisher and have a look. So we'll go back in a moment and open it up. But what we have here, we've got the article type at the top. So it might be an interview, it might be research, it might be student affairs. I'd like you to think of a keyword that explains or describes what your article is about. So what kind of category it's in. Then we have a nice big title area here. You can make this bigger and smaller as you need. The lead, that first important summary of the article, will be somewhere at the top in bold capital letter font here. There'll be a picture. Now the picture can be up here, you can move it to down here, it can be anywhere you want. Picture caption is in black, and a black square with white lettering. We have a 4-column body, so 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. And then you'll notice that in the template there is a highlight text area. So this is really important to have maybe 1 or 2 of these black boxes that highlight an important point that you want to make in the text. So this can be a copy-paste out of your main text. It can be extra something just to grab people's attention. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to replace the heading with some example text. You might need to adjust the size of the container. The font should be Bebas Neue Bold. And then I'll ask you to replace the lead with sample text. Once again, you might need to adjust the size of the container, and the font should be Bebas Neue Bold, 20 point, maybe 16 point. I'll ask you to replace this image with a an image that you'll download. And then it'll ask you to replace the body text with some text that I have provided. Okay, so let's do that together. Now first you need to download and install the fonts. Right, so this template, it uses special fonts. I guarantee that these fonts will not be on your computer. I'll put these links to the fonts in the description below this video, as well as in the Moodle course. So open up the fonts here. If you open that up, then you will come to a page here. You can download this. I'm going to just click on the download button up in the top right. And when I click that, then that will, yes, it opened it up. Here we go. It's a zip file, but if you open that up, what I recommend is that you copy these fonts into a folder on your computer. So I'm just going to create a new folder. You can put this anywhere. If you have a USB disk, then you can copy these fonts into your USB disk. Or if you have a folder for Hokusai on your computer, then you can copy them or you can put them into there. So I'm going to call this Hokusai times fonts. Right, so I have my folder here, and I'm going to copy these fonts into the Hokusai times. We'll just drag and drop those into my folder, and when I open up the folder, then I have my fonts here. So that's the Babus Noe fonts, but there are two fonts that you need to install, not just the Babus Noe. The other ones are, where are they? Here we go. The other fonts is called Aller. So once again, same thing. Click on the link for Aller. They will open up a Google Drive download thing here, and I'll once again click at the top right, the download button. Download that, and there we go. It's just automatically opened that up for me. You might need to click on the zip file that it downloads. But once again, I am going to I'm going to drag and drop these fonts into my Hokusai Times fonts folder. Okay, so now I have Aller, all the different font weights. So we've got bold, we've got normal, regular, we've got italics and all sorts. So we've got Aller and Babus Noe. Now in Windows, the way to install new fonts is that the way to do it is you select all of your files here. So I'm going to select all of the files. I'll right click. I'm not sure, well actually on Mac you can't install Microsoft Publisher anyway. So on Windows here, right click on the selected fonts, so all of the fonts at the same time, and then you should see an install. Click on install, and my computer is telling me that I have already installed all of these, but I will do it anyway. Yep. So I have all of those installed anyway. But it takes a little moment or so for those to install, and now these fonts are installed on your computer and you can use them. Okay, so now we have the fonts installed on the computer. The next step is to download the publisher templates that we will use. Okay, so you'll see here Hokusai Times Publisher Template 1. There's 2 templates with different layouts. You can choose to use whichever you want. So we click on the first template. No preview available, but we can download it. So I'm going to download that. And that's downloaded here onto my computer. I'm going to go back to my link here and download the Hokusai Times Publisher Template 2. Once again, these links will be in the description below as well as on Moodle. So this is the second Hokusai Times template. And while we're at it, I'm also going to download the example text and photos. So click on here, and you'll see in this Google Drive here we have a photo of a frog and we have some text about some frogs. Now if you right click on either of these, then you can download. So right click on the text and click download. That's downloaded there for me. I'll right click on the frog picture and click download, and it has downloaded there for me. So from my computer, when I download something, then these end up in my downloads folder. So I'll have a look here, downloads, and here we go. Frog picture, frogs text, master template 1, no preview, but master template 2 as well. So let's open up master template 1 and have a look and see what it looks like. You might get a warning like this, font on yomikomi ryō fuka. You can just click OK on this one. I'm not sure why that's showing up, but that's okay. When you open it up, you'll see that we have a template, a Hokusai Times template. In this template, there are 2 pages. One page here and the second page here. So you'll see on the left, get that a bit wider. No. We have 2 pages. One page and page 1 and page 2. All of these columns are already connected with each other. So if I delete text here, then the text just moves up automatically. So a few things to note here. As I mentioned previously, we have a keyword at the top here that kind of describes what your article is about in 1 or 2 words. We have the headline here. We have the lead. So that's the main text here that is giving us a good overview of the content. We have a picture. We have a caption that describes the picture, and then we have the body of the text, and we have a bit of a quote here. You'll see on page 2 that the name of the author is at the bottom here. Now your article should be maximum about 700 words. Ideally about 500 words would be best. So 1 page or 1 page and a half. So this article, as it is here, is too long. is too long, right? So including a picture, just a one page like this would be good. If you have to, then maybe half a page across here. Okay, so it looks like a lot, but this is not how much you need to write. So the thing that I would like you to do is replace the text and the photo with the dummy text about frogs. So I'll go back to my downloads folder here, and I'll open up the frogs text. So I have my text about frogs. I'll just get this on both sides. And now I'm going to copy and paste the content into here. So a new animal species discovered called frog. Sorry, I'll do that again. So we either right click and copy, or you can highlight and hit Control C. Control C. Control C. That copies the text. Then I will put this, I'll paste this, and I'll paste it with Tekisto nomi hoji. Tekisto nomi hoji. If you do the normal paste, just the haritsuke, then it'll remove the original formatting and the original font. So I recommend that you right click and then paste with Tekisto nomi hoji. And it's still going in the wrong font. So we're going to have to change this font, but it's good practice. So at the moment, apparently this is Minion Pro font here, but we're going to want to change that to Bibis Noe. So we'll go through our big long list of fonts here. Here we go. Bibis Noe Bold. Okay, and it's tiny. We need to make this bigger. So I'm going to increase the font. Now I could go to here, but this is still too small. So I probably want to go to about, I don't know, font size. What did I say? Let me open my original recommendation here. Publisher. Heading 48 point. Okay, so what do we got here? Oh, this is 48. Okay, so we've got the 48 size text here, but it's too big. Look at that. We've only got part of the title in here. So we're going to need to move all of this down a little bit. So we're going to have to move all of this down a bit so that we can make this box larger. All right, so we're going to start down here. Going to move this guy down. Going to move this guy down. You'll see that you can see some lineup things there. Here as well. Going to move the picture down. Move this guy as well. I'm going to have to move this one down. And then, of course, this one as well. And then make this box larger. There you go. New animal species discovered called frog. Right, obviously, frogs have been discovered, but anyway. We have this, the gap between here is not fantastic. It's a little bit too big, so let's adjust that as well. So the gyokan, right, the line spacing here, I'm going to change that to 1. So gyokan, change that to 1, and that's a little bit better kind of spacing there. This is a difficult bit, is to get this just right there. Now we can move this back up. I am going to leave this here for now, just in case our lead-in is a little bit too big. So we can copy our lead in, and then add the lead in here. I'm going to tekisto nomi o hoji. There we go. Now you can see that the squares here are red, so we're going to need to change those. We're going to have to move and adjust the size of this. Here we go. So this is a very long lead-in. It's probably a little bit too long. Ideally, we would adjust this. We would delete some of the we'll delete some of this text just to make this a little bit shorter. But anyway, we have our lead-in there. Maybe adjust it a little bit further down. It's looking okay. And now we can add in our main text here. Now just be careful here. Remember that we have headings inside the text here. Right? So we have headings and then we have text. So just be aware of that. So we don't have any headings until here, characteristics. So I'm going to delete this heading there, and then I'm going to copy and paste. So copy and paste this into here. Once again, I'm going to click on tekisto nomi hoji, and hopefully that will keep the font that we want. Yeah, that looks okay. So just double check, right? So this body font should be, if we click on home, it should be Aller. Right? So this body font here should be Aller. Okay, so we've got to here, and where is this pull? Right, so we've got characteristics. This is an in-text heading. So we're going to copy that and then paste that into this spot here using tekisto nomi o hoji. But for some reason it has stripped that font. So we're going to want to change this font to the right font. So the main body text is Aller font, right? Aller. The in-text headings, this should be Aller display. So we've got Aller here and we've got Aller display. So once I click on that, then it's looking pretty good. Let me just double check the size. Yep, that looks okay. And it looks as though this should be all caps, right? So just note that the template has the in-text headings in bold, Aller display, and caps, so capital letters. So we're just going to change this to characteristics. There we go. That's looking better. All right, so now we have an all capitals in text heading there. So characteristics, let's copy and paste our characteristics test. So copy, and then I'm holding down Shift and pressing the down button. So Shift, down button, and that will take us through there. So Shift and then the down button, and then I'll testo nomi o hoji. See how that works. Yep, that looks good. We've still got the Eller font there, and probably need to adjust that. Next one, variations in development. So we'll copy this. Oops. Need to undo that. Undo. Variation in development. We'll copy that and add it into here. Can I swim at night? And paste that there. Once again, we need to change that to all caps. One way to easily change text into all capitals is to go to your font. So go home, then you've got your font area here, and then down here you have this little tiny down arrow. Click on that and you can choose Subete o Moji. Click on that and like magic you have all capitals. That's a little bit easier. So variations in development, let's copy and paste that. Copy, where's that going? Variation in development, here, okay. So we will paste that guy, oops. Let's get, very nice. What else have we got? Here we go, distribution and habitats. Replace this one. Here it is, distribution and habitats. This has removed the Eller display font, so we're going to have to change this from Eller to Eller display. And once again, we're going to need to change this to all capitals. So we'll go to the font here, the little arrow at the bottom right, and then choose Subete o Moji. Click OK, and then that changes us to all capitals. And then we've got another big bit of text here, distribution and habitats section. Copy that, and we'll just put that into here. Paste that. Okay, looking good, looking good. And then largest, smallest, copy that. Looks like somewhere around here. And paste that. Once again, we're going to change that font to Eller display and change it to all capitals. There you go, looking good. And lastly, copy this last little bit. I am going to just delete all this. And paste. I pasted it, but it's ended up in the original font of the original here. So I need to change that from Times New Roman to Eller, of course. So it's a little bit of work, you know, working on this kind of thing. Now this, of course, the font size is larger, so the normal font size is 10, whereas this has ended up 12, so we're just going to change that to 10 as well. And I think we want to have some, yeah, I want to have some bullet points there. And then, of course, we can change our name here from John Dickens. Where is he? There he is. To Rob. Oops. Rob Thompson. Now, now we have all our text in here, but we have all of this extra space here that is not being used. If your article goes more than one page, so if it goes into the second page, then we'll need to adjust the height of these columns to make everything match up. So the way that we do that is click on the first column, hold down Control and click the next. So that's now selected both of these columns. Hold down Control and click again and again, and now you've selected all 4 of these columns. And you can adjust the height of these columns all at once. So now we can move all of those up. Oh, that one didn't work very well. Up there, okay, it's looking pretty good now. Maybe a little bit more. Oops, it's a bit too far. That's good enough, I think. So now we have a nicely aligned article here. Most of you, your article will not be this long. It'll be a lot shorter. But in this way, when I put all of the articles together, I can add another article starting here. Right, so that keeps the flow all nice and looking good. So your homework, your task is to do exactly what I did just now. I'd like you to download this frog text. Oh, and one more thing. Yes, the picture. So we have a picture in here already. It's quite easy to replace this picture with a different picture. So I'm going to right click here. Zu no henko. I'll move out of the way for you. Zu no henko de zu no henko. And then you can choose the location of that frog picture that you downloaded about 15 minutes ago. So Fairu Kara, and that will bring up a window here. For me, this I have in the downloads, I should have, there we go, frog picture. So I'll choose that and then insert, and there we have it. Very nice. We have a frog. So this is what I would like you to do. Try to replace the text with this dummy text just to get a feel for this Hokusei Times layout. So this is a bit of work, adjusting things, copying and pasting, but it's really good practice because when it comes to putting your own text into the template, it'll make it a lot easier just to copy and paste and know how it works. Okay, so I hope that this is helpful, and if you have any questions at all, then please feel free to contact me, and I'll do my best to help you out. Now, again, if you can't install Publisher on your computer at home, I've heard that Mac you can't install Publisher, then you are welcome to use the computer rooms here at Hokusei Gakuen University. So yeah, if you're struggling with that, then do feel free to come and use the computers at school here. Okay, so thank you very much, and good luck. Cheers.